What's up, you filthy motherfuckers? So, I've had a few of you guys who've been asking me how to do these fucking Fatboys. So, I'm not going to go through the whole fucking jailbreak process with this bitch today. But the most important part is knowing how to put the clip cable on and that bullshit. So, you'll notice all these screws, you have a screw here, one screw here, one screw here. This little short motherfucker comes out of the back. And then you have a screw here, and screw here. Once you get those bitches out, on the side, you have the little tab. Once you pull that motherfucker out, you have the same torque screw that you have on a PS3 on the bottom lip. So you got to get that out right there. That allows you to slide that off. Look at that bitch. $10, parts only. We're going to see if we can fix this motherfucker today and make it work. So it turns on and doesn't do anything else. So we'll go ahead and try and work our pin pan. But once that comes off, you have basically a screw, a little screw, and you got two on the side. Power supply has to come up. So I'm going to get that out and we'll get back. Got the screws out. So we're going to unhook the power cable here. You got to get this motherfucker out in the back here. And this comes out. You can see these bitches are usually filthy. And I already vacuumed some of that shit. Look at that tasty shit. That looks like a fucking Rich Gray machine. So we're going to go ahead and get some of this shit out. And then, of course, you have a little clip cable here. You pop that up. Blu-ray drive. And then this cable right here. We're going to pull that out. So once that bitch is out, all this has to come out. Boom, 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 boom. Of course, you got there, and these over here. So we're going to get all these fucking screws out in the heat sinks, and we'll go from there. So I got all the screws out, and keep in mind your fan plugged in right here. Unplug that bitch. We're going to get this out of here. And again, we have this board, so we're going to go ahead and vacuum this bitch up real quick. Get all that shit out of there. Get that motherfucker all cleaned up. And then we're going to peel that bitch off. Look at that tasty motherfucker. Yeah, these things are dust buckets. Alright, I'm going to get this cleaned up and we'll be right back. You also want to make sure you lift this up and get all this shit out from underneath here. So we're going to get all that out. Okay, so here we go. This is the NOR chip. And the way you got to run your fucking cable, it's got to come across this way. You got to loop that bitch around and bring it straight out this way. So let me get situated since it's just me and I'm going to show you. So, as usual, I strengthen up my clip cables. I run tape around them. It keeps them a little bit stronger. But what you're basically going to do is you are going to take your NOR chip. Cable's got to be going that way. Yeah, I'm sorry, not NOR chip. Your clip cable. And you're going to get a good seal on there, just like that. Now, what I generally do is once I get that on there, I tape it down. So hang on one second. Okay, so you can see I got that bitch taped down. Now what's got to happen, you're going to need another piece of tape. You need to move this bitch just like that. Okay? So this is out, and your clasp part of the clip cable should be facing up. So I'm going to go ahead just like this, and you want to make sure you got enough distance going that way so that it reaches the E-flasher. And this will make sense in a minute. But you want to get, and be careful because when you get down in here, you don't want to pinch that real fucking tight. So hang on a second. Okay, so you see, now do you have to use all this fucking tape? No, you put a little piece here, a little piece here. But I've got this out and ready to go. And the reason I've got that is because when I flip this bitch back over and I put it in here, it'll clasp down on the E-flasher. Because on this model, you have to have the E-flasher plugged in. So when I plug this bitch in, you'll see it will reach and clasp on there. But, now here's the very important part. Because it's down like this, you cannot put pressure on that clip cable. So, I don't have it with me. I have a spacer that I worked out, circle, and I actually tape it on here, so when I put the board upside down, it automatically applies pressure between here and the board. So since I don't have one with me, hang on. What I did is I took some pennies and I taped them all together. So what you want to do, you want to set them pennies right on that clip cable, and then you want to put a fucking piece of tape over it. And you want to get that right over it so it sits still, just enough to hold it in place. Because when you flip this over like that, this is going to press up against here, and it's going to put pressure on that clip cable. So hang on a second. Well, let me keep this going. So we're just going to flip the board over, and we're going to put it in. And now you'll notice there's play right here because that is applying pressure on that clip cable. That is crucial. And even doing that, that's why I made a spacer, because it's a perfect fucking fit and I don't have to deal with this shit every time. Because nothing's worse than having to tear this bitch apart every time you get a blinking blue light on here. So then what you'll do, and usually you'll have to pull this off slightly, and I'll show you here. Get in there, bitch. Because as you try to push this all the way back, see how it's not seated in there all the way? And it's because it can't go no further. So I'm going to pull this off just a little bit. Okay, you'll see. I've got that plugged in. I've got that, and I've got some distance on there, but there's nothing you can do about that. That's the way it's going to sit. Now, what we want to do is you're going to apply this back on. You're going to put both the heat sink clamps on like that. Now what I also do is I use the two screws that go here and here to help apply pressure. They're right here. So I put on both clamps and I put on both these screws. Let me get that done. Okay, so I got boom, 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 and I put those two in. Next, you got to take your fucking power supply, and we're going to go ahead, press that down, pop that bitch in, and of course we got to put this plug in the back. And usually I'll do that first when I'm not sitting here holding my fucking hands. Make sure you plug your fucking fan in. Right back here. Okay. So now we're ready to get a dump off this bitch. Okay. So I got it plugged in. I got it going. You can see we're rocking and rolling. You know, sometimes even with my spacer, I'll get a blink and I got to tear all this bullshit off and reposition that spacer. I use 4 pennies. Depending on the model on these, sometimes you need a 5th penny. But you need to tape that shit up. We're going to get the fucking dump off here. Fuck it, I'm going to see this through and we'll see if we can fix it. I think the hard drive was bad. I don't have my dock with me, so we're going to try and problem solve this bitch. We'll be back. Alright, motherfuckers. So, I patched the bin file. All that's in my other video. I'm not going through all that in detail. And we are dumping it back. Unfortunately, I only got a 160 gig. So, as soon as this bitch is done, we're going to go ahead, repaste the chips, get everything ready to go, and we'll see if we can't get this fucker running. Okay, so we packed this back. So, you'll notice, and again, this is what I'm talking about. These fucking deals... And you want to be careful because they crimp your fucking cable up, man. But once you get all that off there, and again, we're all the way off that motherfucker, get it out of the way. So we're going to go ahead and get these chips pasted up, get everything cleaned up, and put this bitch back together and see if we can roll. Okay, so I got this pasted and clean on the other side. And again, FYI, I don't separate my fucking screws. So if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, do not leave a mess like I do. I know where they go. So let's get this bitch back together and see if we can't get it working. Again, just a heads up and reminder, Blu-ray drive has to go in first. So make sure you get all that shit all hooked up and in there, then we put the power supply on. And we got action so far. We've got that up there. So we are going to hold the start and select and install some firmware on this bitch. We'll pick it up once we get fucking rocking and motherfucking rolling. And we got action, people. We got everything installed on there. And just word to advice, these run hotter than Slims. So you are going to get warmer temperatures. I can't seem to get my shit working right now. Oh, that's because I didn't press the fucking button. But you'll see, we got that motherfucker rocking up there. And again, $10, parts only. Yeah, right, motherfucker. So that's the best $10 jailbroke I've ever had. With that being said, just a recap. Again, I took, you know, you want a perfect spacer, but I've got 4 pennies in here taped up. And then your cable goes on like this. It will be spun around. So this is what your fucking clip cable should look like once it's done there and it's on the fucking thing. So I'm out, trick motherfuckers.